Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of the Disc Golf Answerman. I am Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze. That's my new sound effects, little baby crying in the background. Of course, I got Robert McCall and Emerson Keith. And of course, he is at home during all the lockdown. You can hear the family in the background. This is going to be sound, but it's probably going to sound a little bit different maybe for audio listeners because we had to do something a little bit different. We were on a Zoom call with Robert at his workstation, me at my workstation, of course, Emerson Keith at home. But Emerson, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. Haven't done much. It was supposed to rain all day, but then the rain disappeared, so I didn't plan anything. So now I don't have anything to do, but it's super nice outside.
I see. Okay.
Now, it's Texas.
Right before we started recording, you're actually having lunch and you're eating some brisket tacos. And of course, everybody knows that follows us. They know we like our tacos.
Yes.
So they were homemade tacos, homemade brisket tacos. Tell us how they tasted.
They were pretty fantastic.
Were they?
I think I'm going to have to go back for more once this video's over.
Now, is this okay? So every time I mention tacos, they say Texas is known for their tacos. Tell me, as a Texan, is it true? Is the best tacos can be found in Texas?
I think so, and because of that, we have a lot of hole in the wall taco places. So we can walk into a tiny little restaurant. There might be only 4 tables inside that can seat maximum 15 people. And if you walk in there and there's a sign that says cash only, then you know that those are about to be really good tacos.
That's right. That's when it's about to go down. Nice. I would argue the only better place you could find tacos would be in Mexico. Otherwise, in the States, Texas is it, man. That's it.
Yeah.
Texas is it. Nice. Cool.
And then of course we have Torchies.
Yes, you do. Yes,
we do. You do. Plenty of Torchies. They're going in everywhere now.
Oh yeah, we're getting some in Kansas here in a few months.
But you still have to drive like an hour.
Okay, first of all, chill on the hateful talk.
Really?
Okay?
Yeah. Hey, but it'll be totally worth it. We've already mapped it out to where we'll just work longer days because we'll take the hour drive to lunch to wherever. I think the closest one will be Wichita, maybe Lawrence. We'll eat, drive an hour back, and we'll just work till about 8 or 9 at night, and it'll be totally worth it.
Right.
I can just DoorDash it.
You can just DoorDash it.
Must be nice.
All right. So anyway, we've got Emerson Keith on here from Team Latitude 64. We're going to have you answer some disc golf questions if that's okay with you. Or maybe have Charlie answer a few if she wants to.
I think she just wants another Cheez-It.
Another Cheez-It. All right. So go ahead.
Before I answer any questions, I have a question for Robert.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
And as soon as we got on the Zoom call, I thought of this question. How does your hair still look good with all of the haircut places being closed?
I mean, that's a fair question.
It's because you have to know the haircut place that isn't closed. As in, you text your barber and say, "Yo, please help me," and then he does. Yes, that's exactly how it happens.
I look like a mop.
Yeah, dude, this hair doesn't grow long. It doesn't get flowy and it just grows out. It just becomes a helmet. So we're not trying to play that game.
I saw him the day before. He was for the love of God Almighty, please someone cut my hair. So.
Please. I think times have gotten desperate.
Opened up in Texas.
Oh, Tyler, Disc Golf Comedy wants to have the same question for me. Basically, I shave every morning. Every morning I get a haircut. So I'm good with lockdown or no lockdown. I'm good. As long as my razors are sharp, I'm good. Otherwise, I'll start getting little drops of blood. And that doesn't look pretty.
Morbid.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, guys. Remember, as always, you can go to discgolfanswerman.com, submit your disc golf questions. We will try to get them on the air. Speak Pipe, again, another apologies for Speak Pipe. We're not set up to take Speak Pipe. So we never did do that special episode, Robert. We need to do that this week.
Yeah, we can do it this week. But before we go on to the questions, I have something that I want to throw out to our fans. Okay. So a little while ago, I did the 21-point putting challenge, and I used some BT hybrid wardens, right? Sorry, not BT hybrid. Classic hybrid. I kept saying BT hybrid from the Nico discs. Okay, classic hybrid wardens. I have 4 of them. I would like to give them away to people who will go to iTunes podcasts and leave a review for our show. If you leave a review, in the next, let's call it week, I will have one classic hybrid Warden to give away to you per week for the next 4 weeks. So each week we're going to go look at who left reviews, see who those people are, randomly pick one, send you a BT, a classic hybrid Warden. So go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, please. 5 stars. And it could give you a chance at winning a classic hybrid Warden. Thank you.
Nice. Very good.
Unless it's a bad review.
If it's a 1-star review, you're out of the running.
Automatically, like, not even in it.
Mention that I told you were getting a disc.
Right.
And then that'll help.
There you go. Cool. All right. So you ready to answer some questions, Emerson?
Yes.
All right. This one is from Gavin. He says, what are your go-to drivers and mid-ranges in the Trilogy lineup?
Go-to drivers are going to be the Defender, most likely in the Biofusion or the Lucid plastic. And then the Explorer in all the plastics, mainly the OptoX plastic, just because I can do so much with it and I can trust it so much on pretty much any angle, and they last a long time. And then for my mid-range, I'm going with the Gatekeeper every time.
Nice. All right. What about you, Robert? We'll get it real quick on you. Check on you. What are your favorites?
My go-to distance drivers or just drivers and mid-ranges?
Let's do distance drivers.
Distance driver, I'm throwing the Raider the most. It's easy to cycle. For my arm, I don't need much more overstable than like a poppy Lucid Raider. I'll carry a super stable Fusion or Lucid Enforcer or something, but it doesn't come out that much. Most of the time I just throw Raiders of different stabilities. Fairway drivers, I throw Explorer, Getaway, Maverick. Those are my 3. And they kind of just fit. Getaway the fastest, then Explorer for pretty neutral stuff, then Maverick for turnovers. And then mid-ranges, I am loving the EMAC Truth. I'm not paid to say that those are just the facts. It's a really good disc.
You're literally paid to say everything you just said.
I am. That's true.
What we don't see is EMAC is like standing off screen.
Just
right.
gun pointed at my head. You better say EMAC. But I'm going to tell you that honestly, the one I'm most excited about coming out is the Bounty. That's the Trilogy Challenge mid-range. Super duper straight at slower arm speeds. Easy turn if you throw it a little bit faster. It's going to be fantastic. So you're going to want to check that out.
I'm going to have to agree with that. I threw it for the first time yesterday, and it's like perfect to go right next to my Gatekeeper for when I don't want to force the Gatekeeper over, and I can throw the Bounty hard and flat, and then it'll glide to the right versus hitting a hard and hybrid.
Yeah, 100%.
Have you thrown so you've gotten all your Trilogy Challenge discs?
Yes, but I have only thrown the Bounty.
The Bounty, I got this. Cool.
I went to Alex Clark and am I saying something wrong?
She's not feeling it. You can just keep going. It's all good.
Okay. I went to Alex Clark, and I assume that y'all know the course, especially Robert.
Yep.
So it's pretty short. Nothing really long. And I was just testing them out, and I didn't want to throw the putter yet because I don't want to like nick it up before I do a YouTube video with it.
Right.
But the other ones are premium plastic. So I went out there, and there wasn't really a hole that I could throw the SPZ3 on it. But right. I did let a couple of random people that walked by that were just playing throw it, and they said that they really liked it.
Yeah. It's the SPZ and the base plastic like it is for the Latitude starter sets. It's a little bit understable. It's like maybe like a little bit more understable Saint or Escape or something like that. But in the premium plastics, they came out pretty domey, and they're like pretty straight, like really, really throwable. I think this is, I don't think I'm pushing the limits of what people will agree to when I say I think this is our best Trilogy Challenge lineup yet. I mean, the SPZ3 is fantastic. The Bounty is like super duper good. And then the Crown is obviously a great performer all the time.
Yeah. That hybrid plastic feels really good.
Yes.
I want that hybrid plastic in the Keystone. I want to see what that would be like.
I bet it'll happen.
I hope so.
I'm sure it will. All right. Next one comes from Michael. He says, hi, Disc Golf Answer Man team. Love what you're doing, especially in this times with less disc golf. I found for me that your signature series discs are awesome. Then selected discs, the plastic, they are just on point. I would love to see an Air Enforcer signature disc. Any plans for that? I haven't heard any plans for an Air Enforcer.
I mean, they exist, just not as signature discs.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're out there.
Yeah. Do we still have Air Enforcers?
I don't know if we have them in stock right now. I doubt it.
Yeah.
I don't think that we would see an Air Enforcer as a signature disc because there's only a select few locations where we would actually like need those. So it doesn't make sense for like Eric Oakley to do a Air Enforcer when he's only going to throw it when we play like the 303 Open in Colorado at super high elevation or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know where else we would play at super high elevation, which is why I don't think they would make sense. But I mean, it's great.
Are you saying like the air plastic is good and with high elevation places, or just the Air Enforcer?
Just the Air Enforcer, because the Air Enforcer still has like a ton of stability in it, but it's easier to get up the hill with it being lighter.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, we got a quick super chat from Doc Zen coming in with $2. He says, Charlie is my favorite guest on Disc Golf Answer Man so far. We agree.
We agree. Charlie, you're amazing.
Thank you for joining us, Charlie.
Yeah, so far her input has been on spot. So
yeah. On point.
On point, yes. Spot points, whatever she's.
Whatever.
All right, next one comes from Scrappin' Micah. This is on early hip extension. Here we go. First, great show, great talks, great wisdom, and share. Thanks for that. Well, thank you for that, Scrapin' Micah. I'm Micah, and I play disc golf for a couple of years now. And since here in Germany, very few teachers around, I teach myself by field work and YouTube clinics, and of course, Disc Golf Answer Man. It's a long, long way. My main problem at the moment, I kind of suffer from Hurley. Yeah, from Hurley and all the other brands that are out there. Early hip. Billabong, yeah. I kind of suffer from early hip extension. Oh, and he has a linked video. Well, we might have to check it out later. I, of course, tried the famous door frame drill and crushed cans, but I never seen one on a tee. It just simply doesn't translate into my throw. What can I do to get rid of this habit? Any drills or tips? So any tips on early hip?
I'm very confused on what's...
I think what he's saying is...
Door frame drill?
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Same.
Or at least heard of it.
But... I would say if you're getting your hips through early, it's likely that you're not offsetting your feet enough. So when you're getting ready to throw a backhand shot, you're running up, you're not really running in a straight line, especially when you get to the end of the tee. So if you're trying to throw a straight shot, you start at the back middle of the tee, run straight to the front. And once you get to the front of the tee, your right foot is going to be slightly offset, like in front of your left foot. That allows you to engage your hips a little bit more and start them back so that everything can fire in sequence. Now, if you're getting early hip extension, there's a chance that instead of your right foot being in front of your left, it's a little bit behind it. So your hips are already open to target by the time you reach back. So you're really fighting against yourself when you do that. Something that I would do is, get to the front of the tee and just stand still. Put your feet straight in line with one another. Like if you drill line straight down between them, it would go straight to your target. And then take a small step forward with your right foot and practice reaching back with that and see if that doesn't help with your timing just a little, because that's what the power throwers do. They get to the front, stagger their front foot. So it helps them to engage more range of motion from their hips.
Good point. Another thing that he could be doing to get his hips to open up early is he could be planting with his foot with his right, if he's right-handed, he could be planting with his foot already open.
Right.
So that causes his hip to be already open, and then he's still reaching back and getting that. So his hips are already open. So he might not be rotating on that heel. He might be just already open. If y'all watch the early videos of Brody learning how to throw, right, he threw with a super open foot, and it was hard for him to get his arm to like catch up because his hips were already open. But as soon as he started rotating, then he could get the timing down better. So you might be already having your foot open on your plant.
Yeah, 100%. Super quick before we move on, another super chat from Ace Run Productions. We can always count on you, Ace Run. We appreciate that. $9.99 coming in. He said, can Emerson discuss his grip and how it pertains to his massive distance? So as it's well known, Emerson, you're one of the longer throwers in the game. How do you grip your disc when you're throwing?
Hey, Mackenzie, could you go get me a disc? Yes, please. It's hard to explain, easier to show.
Cool.
So could we come back to that question in 2 minutes?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
All right.
We'll
2
jump to
minutes
this.
and I'll have a disc. I need
fine.
a driver or like a fairway driver in the front seat of my car.
All right, we'll jump to this one from James. Greeting Disc Golf Answer Man family. I hope you're staying
Just
safe.
run.
Last year, my wife and I were finally able to get our kids hooked on disc golf. They even play me to play Disc Golf Answer Man. Oh, they even asked me to play Disc Golf Answer Man when we were driving in the car. Nice. Shout out to the family if you're listening. Of course, we started them with lighter weight discs, as is often recommended. Recently, my oldest came to me and asked, when should we start throwing heavier discs? So what are some good signs a kid is ready for heavier discs? Conversely, what are some signs a kid disc is too heavy for them? Thanks for taking my questions. I'll take my answer off the air. All right. So how do we know when do we know when a kid is ready to go heavier on the disc?
So I think I can answer this one since I'm the closest to being a kid.
Outside.
Size and age?
As far as age, just like a couple years ago, I was a kid. Oh, thank you. All right. So when do you know when it's time to go to a heavier disc? So of course, you want to start out with lighter, easier to throw plastic for anybody. And then especially with kids, because their muscles aren't developed and all of that stuff. And we don't want to discourage them. We want them to obviously get results early. So we hand them easier to throw disc where they're going to get results fast. So we hand them a lighter disc, and with handing them a lighter disc, they're going to get the results faster. So they're going to progress a lot faster. They're going to start getting more snap, more power. And once that happens, the way you know that happens is just all their discs, they're just like, they're coming out like good. And then they're turning on them. They're like, everything's turning on them, or mainly just turning on them. And with the lighter discs, even on hyzer, they'll just flip up and then turn too much. And when that starts to happen with the kids, start handing them heavier things. And I'm not talking like hand them a 175 disc. They're probably going to start in like the low 160s or maybe even the 150 class. Hand them something that's like 168, but still an easy to throw disc, and then see what happens there. And then go up from there. But definitely don't go straight to 175 unless you hand them that 168 disc and they're turning that as well. Because just maybe they are progressing faster than most kids, but usually you don't see 175 disc in a kid's hand until they reach like 14. I would say that those kids probably could start getting the power to throw. Like Elijah, how old is he? Like 15?
Yep.
He's 15, and he probably started throwing heavy disc maybe when he was 13, 14, but he's a big kid.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong about that, correct me.
No, I think that's right. And I would agree with you. It's more about flight than it is about age, right? Once a disc is too light and too understable to be usable, that's when you can move up a little bit quicker. So, but I mean, that for some people that could happen as early as, like you said, 11, 12, somewhere in there. Some people it may take until they may be comfortable with lighter weight discs for the entire time they play disc golf. And that's totally fine too.
Right.
All right, there you go. This next one is from JK.
Hold on. Let's talk about Emerson's grip real quick.
Yes. Back to that.
I have a Frisbee. I have a good one too. She grabbed a really good one.
That is a good one.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Okay. So you always hear throw far. In order to throw far, you have to power grip, right?
Yep.
Not true. I don't power grip anything. I've never power gripped a shot in my entire life. in a tournament. I have done it just messing around, just to show people this is why I don't power grip, because I lose control and I don't even get any farther. It doesn't add distance to my throw. So it's a little bit of a power grip, but it's like, okay, I don't know if you can see this. The pinky is on the rim. That's the only finger on the rim. The ring finger is barely off the rim. And then so like it fans out. And then this one just kind of tucks, but it's not touching here. So it's what I call a modified fan grip. It's not quite all the way fanned, but it's not quite all the way power gripped. And then also some people, when they power grip, they put their thumb way out in the disc. My thumb is pretty close. This is weird on the phone, so sorry about that.
It's all good.
But my thumb is actually pretty close to the rim here. Like this is where the rim starts, and it's not even like a quarter of an inch away from that. So modified fan grip, more control, and I can't tell you how I'm getting the snap that most power grip throwers would get out of the fan grip. It just works for me. So I suggest fan grip, learn the fan grip before you learn the power grip.
Yeah. And that's a good idea, like you said, to test different grips when you're out in the field, because power grip may not be the right one for you. Or it may, if you're already throwing everything with a fan grip, power grip may get you some distance. That's cool. But if you've just automatically thrown everything with a power grip before, it might help you to back off to a fan grip, or kind of like a little Emerson's fingers. If you're listening to audio, Emerson's fingers are kind of like in a line on the rim, just a little off the rim. The pinky is on the rim, ring finger off a little bit, middle finger off just a little bit more than that. And then index finger, not quite curled all the way underneath, but still a bit on the underside of like where a bead would be. Try out some different grips and see which one works best for you, which one's most comfortable, because that's really important too. If it doesn't feel comfortable in your hand, it's going to be tough for you to commit to a shot.
Right. And then as far as disc placement in the hand, a lot of people just stick that disc right in the middle of their hand and then fold over it. So it would look something like that if I put it in the middle of my hand. But like that's super uncomfortable to me. So I actually put the disc like right, gosh, this is so weird. About right there. So,
okay.
I mean, on like the edge of my hand, and then I go, so I don't know if people can really see too well, but it's pretty much on the edge of my hand instead of the middle.
Right. Kind of more on like if your thumb is on the like, all right, let's figure out a way to explain this.
Right. This is so hard.
It's closer to the knuckles underneath your fingers than it is to like the center of your palm.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, something to mess around with for sure. And if you're listening to audio, definitely look this one up so that you can see what Emerson's talking about.
Yeah. And I now know that I should not make a YouTube video on grip, because it's like impossible to explain and show.
Right. It's all good.
All right, next one comes from JK. Taking multiple putts from the same spot, U-disc practice putting style seems great for building muscle memory and developing technique, but in disc golf, you only get one shot, to quote Marshall Mathers. Therefore, do you think it is more beneficial to practice a majority of putts one at a time, moving each make or miss to different location, lengths, and into varying winds, stimulating the mindset needed in a tournament or league that the first attempt is the only one that counts? Also, I was never a fan of dynamic discs. What? I'm going to stop right there.
He said was.
Oh, that's true. Was. Good point. Good point. The disc names always put me off. Therefore, I have no valid criticism. I'm just like okay. I can't read all of this. I'm like the old man who gripes about anything different. However, at a Veterans for Vets event earlier this year, I was given a Vandal, and it has become my favorite go-to driver. So thanks for that, I guess, dag nabbit. And thanks for the disc golf content every week. I'm grateful for the entertaining diversion and great disc golf instructions. Well, you're welcome, JK.
This guy was so against dynamic disc, because of the names, he is upset that the Vandal is so good that he has to throw it.
I know that he has to throw it.
That's really funny.
All right, so what do you think? Do I need to read the actual question over? You guys think you got a good grasp of it?
I think you can summarize once real quick.
Yeah,
Yes.
he says, is it more beneficial to practice a majority of
Yes.
putts one at a time?
Gotcha. For me, the only time that I'll rapid fire putts and stay at the same spot is if I'm trying to ingrain my putting style into just muscle memory. So I'll go to 20 feet and just putt to make sure that I'm letting that putt go the same every single time, just so I can repeat it a bunch of times back to back. That's the only time I'll really practice putt from the same spot a whole lot. Otherwise, I spend a lot of time, I'll put my mini down, go through my routine, putt, go get my putter, go to the next spot. I'm not going to be able to throw as many putts in the same amount of time, but I'm going to get more quality practice than just tossing the disc in over and over and over. So that's what I do. What about you, Emerson?
I usually, when I'm like practicing putting, when I'm like actually practicing, I will only hold 1 or 2 putters, just like I would in a tournament. And I putt from different spots. I will only putt like 2 maximum from the same spot. And then if I'm warming up, I will hold 4 and putt from the same spot for 4, and then I'll move around. But to warm up, it's not so much as like trying to make them all, but it is trying to make them all, but it's really just getting your arm warm, and you're trying to get used to your own putting motion. So it makes sense to have a bunch more and do that a bunch more. And then in practice, you want to practice like you're actually in the tournament, holding very few putters and stepping up to a new spot, a new lie, and doing your routine each time.
Yeah, definitely. Bobby, you're muted.
I thought it was cool by hitting mute, but now I feel uncool. This next one's from Jake. He says, hey, Disc Golf Answer Man crew, Jake from Cleveland. Here's a question on shot selection. I was going back and rewatching 2019 World, specifically Northwoods Gold Course. I think it was hole 10, maybe 11. The commentator said the whole setup best for a right hand backhand Anheuser shot. I was wondering what makes a hole set up best for that kind of shot and not for a right-handed forehand shot. Thanks, guys. Also, can you think of any other holes that the Pro Tour or National Tour plays that are set up that same way?
Sure. So I'll just speak to this actually, you know what? Emerson should speak to this. He is a much better forehand thrower than me. So he throws a lot more of those than Anheuser's. Talk about what makes you choose a forehand over an Anheuser, Emerson.
So usually about 8 times out of 10, a forehand over an Anheuser when both could be thrown is comfort. And then if it's not for comfort, it's because the backhand just shapes better. Like it's obviously going to turn different and push different up the fairway. And I think hole 10 is possibly that long par 5.
That's what I was thinking.
And that's because if you throw a perfect sidearm, it's going to stand up and it's going to finish to the right. And that isn't good on that hole, because if you're on the right, then you're pinched off for your next shot. And so the backhand turnover, it fights out of that at the end. So it's like you're getting your sidearm line, except it's going to fight out of it and finish left or even in the middle. So it's really just to put yourself in a better spot when you want to go from like sidearm to backhand. Or I'm sure there was tons of people that threw sidearm on that hole because they knew that they could at least get up forward into the fairway, maybe not in the perfect spot, but enough to get up there and like give themselves a chance at par, or like maybe even birdie if they throw an amazing second shot.
Yeah.
Which is why I say 8 out of 10 times it's comfort. And then the 2 other ones are because it's the actual shot for the hole.
Right. So for you, you're really comfortable both throwing Anheuser and forehand. So it seems like, and here's a variable that people don't often think about. If you can throw a hyzer, you just have to control the disc for one angle, right? just out of your hand, you throw this. If you're throwing an anhyzer, there's a chance that it turns over and comes out. Now you have to mess with two angles, right? Okay.
Right.
So when you're throwing a forehand hyzer or backhand hyzer, those are some of the most consistent shots because you just have to think about the one angle. That's all you have to get right. Then it's just distance control. So most of the time, for those who are proficient with a forehand, great choice for them. But if you have a hole like the one that we're talking about, say I throw like what I threw in when we were just messing around on that course, I threw a Maverick on hole 10. So just a little flip up to flat and then slight turn to the right. It's never going to burn over to the right. And even if I miss, it's not going to finish hard left. It's just going to stay pretty straight. I would rather take that result than try to force a forehand, either force it over because now I'm bringing in an extra angle, or hyzer flip a forehand to flat because the end of the flight usually has that hard right skip. So when I don't know if I was the one talking about that at that course or not, but that's what I said about that hole. It's definitely shaped more for a backhand because it's more of a gradual right finish rather than a sharp right finish like you get out of a lot of forehands. So that's what I think they mean when they talk about that. If it's a wide open shot in a field, you can pick which one you're more comfortable with. You know, if there's one
throwing whatever you can throw a hyzer with.
Exactly. If there's one tree to beat and there's no danger right or left, throw your anhyzer, throw your forehand, whichever you're more comfortable with. But in a situation like that where it's helpful to go straight, that's where a backhand anhyzer works a little bit better.
Got it. All right, next question comes from Don. Hello, gentlemen. I've been playing for a year and I struggle with my forehands. I've noticed that I'm not terrible if I'm throwing wider rimmed discs. My grip consists of both my middle finger and pointer finger on the inside edge of the rim, with my middle finger completely extended and my point finger curled. However, I just can't get a comfortable grip on slower speed discs like putters and mids because of their thinner rims. They just don't feel right in my hand. Unfortunately, since I don't have enough speed or snap.
That's how he's holding it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the people that don't know how he's holding it, this is how he's holding it. Kind of looks like I'm flipping the bird, but this is just how he's holding it. He's holding this finger to the rim. So I'll take this finger away and show y'all what he's doing. He has it like this. Whoa. And then he's just laying that one over.
Yeah. Yep.
He says, unfortunately, since I don't have enough snap or speed to throw forehand drivers, I can't get them to go very straight. It might be worth noting that I played a lot of baseball growing up, so my main issue with my throwing motion is keeping my palm up throughout my throw. Do you have any tips or suggestions about any types of grip I can use on slower speed, thinner rimmed discs? Thanks so much and be well. What do you guys got?
So given his baseball background, first, I would recommend stacking your fingers versus the
curling one.
Curling your index finger, because that's just gonna generate a little bit of uncontrollable torque or spin on the disc. If you stack your fingers, it can come off of both of those pretty controlled, and it's not uncommon at all to feel more comfortable throwing wider rims with the sidearm. That's what I recommend when you start out, and it's actually harder to throw the smaller rims. And then since your baseball background, think of it as throwing like a submarine pitch. Like you have to get your arm out, elbow in. So think of it like as a submarine pitch, given your baseball background. And then when you let go, hand out like this, just hand out, palm up, and then just like you could just sit there and do that even without the disc. And then after doing that for a while, you're comfortable, then start putting the disc in your hand and then doing it. And I think that'll help you 100%. Switching to like a submarine type pitch throw.
100%. Yeah. When your goal is working on that kind of palm up finish, when you're practicing throws, you want to see the disc hyzer out over and over and over and over. So because you're counteracting what is generally rolling your wrist, right? So you want to practice that to see the disc go right until you can kind of find your middle ground of how you throw a straight forehand from there without flipping it over, right? So I dig that. When I throw forehands, I turn my fingers so that the pads of my they're stacked like Emerson was talking about, but I turn them so the pads of my fingers are against the rim instead of against the flight plate. And that helps me to create kind of just like a side to side motion, almost like a slapping motion. Cause I have difficulty starting my hand up and not rolling it over. But when I started a little bit more sideways, that helps me to just maintain that kind of sideways direction.
Another thing a lot of people are doing that causes them to roll their disc, to roll their wrist over and causing the disc to turn over, is on their sidearms. So since this is a see-through disc, it's pretty easy to show you. I hope you can see my fingers on the bottom. They're taking their fingers and they're stacking them like they're supposed to, and then they're putting the disc in there, and then their thumb is here, and then you have this, and then it goes out this way. So it's like a 90-degree angle there. Mm-hmm. And that's going to cause you to come over the top of the disc a lot. Actually rotate that disc back. And then you want your thumb running vertical to your index finger and your middle finger.
Yeah. Like parallel lines is what you're trying to draw.
Yes. Yeah, you want those fingers to be straight in line with each other. And by having them straight in line, that disc is sitting farther back in this little pocket here. Mm-hmm. And that will also help. I bet you if you put that back in there and throw it, it'll come out with so much hyzer, you're going to be shocked.
Yeah, you'll be able to adjust from there for sure.
Excellent. All right. We got time for one more question. This one is from Jesse. For a kid in high school who has dreams to be a professional disc golf athlete, would it be best to play college disc golf or to tour regionally around their college? Add on to that question, what is the best way to become a pro in the current state of disc golf? What do you think, Emerson?
Since our sport's not like any other sport where you can go to college and your college career is like super beneficial to your pro career. Like if you like are outstanding, then you're more likely to get on like a big name professional team. Disc golf's not really like that. I think it would benefit you more to not do the college club thing and give yourself a more variety of tournaments to play. Because if you limit yourself to just those college events, then you're only playing against the college players, and you're not going to be able to like maybe outshine Ricky or Paul in any of those big ones and really get noticed. So just kind of pick your tournaments where you can go play against the best players that you can. And if you outshine those players, that's when people start talking about you.
Yeah.
And then that's how you get sponsored. And that's how you get your name big in this game, is playing better or keeping up with the big names. And the big names are not in the college scene.
Yeah, for sure. I would say in general, the college scene, at least how I've seen it in the past, will play a few times and then go to like a regional tournament and then a national tournament. I don't think it's bad to compete in those. And you know, people will recognize that you're competing in those, but just like Emerson said, if you limit your disc golf tournament experience to only those situations, one, you're not going to get noticed quite as much, but two, you're going to be unprepared for when you match up against people who are, I mean, the best players at the collegiate level right now maybe are in like the 10-10 range, maybe. And there are 80 players in the world rated higher than that right now, maybe 100. So when you like, Emerson's a great example. So if you go and play well at collegiates, you know, you get 5th to 1st somewhere in there and you're riding on your high horse, then you get out to a course where you and Emerson are playing and it's a long course and it's got lots of forehands. He's going to mop you. I mean, that's no offense to you, but that's just what he does. Like, it's his actual job. So having experience playing players that are just a little bit better, that'll definitely help you out. And you also need to learn how to win. And you can't really do that on the national stage out of the gate. You're not going to walk out to a national tour and within your first year win a national tour. You're just not. But it does help if you know, win some C tiers, win some B tiers, get some high placements at some A tiers. That'll get you on people's radar. That's one important part. But it also teaches you how to compete under pressure. It's totally different. It's a totally different thing playing against those guys. I promise I know because they've mopped the floor with me as well. So anyway, there you go.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the Disc Golf Answer Man. We appreciate you, Emerson Keith, coming on the show with us and answering our questions. Guys, remember, go to discgolfanswerman.com and submit your disc golf questions so you can get them on the air. I'm not sure who we'll have on next week, but I'm sure it'll be someone super exciting.
Ooh, nice.
But Emerson, real quick for our Disc Golf Answer Man audience, tell us how people can follow you now and once we get back on the road.
So my main social media that I use is going to be my Instagram. And I recently changed my tag because it was like a lot of people wanted me to change it. So it was just Emerson Keith, super plain. I changed it to EmmerDaddy64.
Nice.
So you can follow me on Instagram by searching that up. And then, of course, I have my Facebook page, but I recently realized I need to make a player page. So be on the lookout for a player page. And then also I have a YouTube channel, and that's just my name, Emerson Keith. Go subscribe. And also watch my videos and leave a comment of what you would like to see in those videos.
Nice.
All right,
And before we go, if you haven't left a review for us on iTunes, go and do that because we have a classic hybrid Warden waiting to be given away to you. Mention that this is your favorite disc golf show. Give us the 5 stars that we want so bad. And if yours is chosen, you'll receive a lightly used. I made a few putts. I missed a lot. Lightly used classic hybrid Warden. There you go.
All right, guys. We'll see you on the next Disc Golf Answer Man.
Hey, see ya.
All right, hang tight, Emerson. Hang tight, YouTubers and Facebookers.
Do I got like a minute to run to the restroom?
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Okay, awesome.
Same.
It's not over. I have to do something else.
Bobby, I'll be right back.
All right. I guess I will entertain everyone. Are you not entertained? All right. So thank you guys so much for surviving this different format. If you're just tuning in, if you tuned in the middle of it, what is going on is we had an issue with our camera link that we use for our Sling Studio Live. It would not broadcast the signal from the camera. So we improvised and we were doing our Zoom. I am at my workstation and Robert is at his workstation, and Emerson Keith, of course, is broadcasting live from his house. So we're going to get real quick. We're going to do the disc golf hot takes. So get ready. I'm going to send the link to, if it'll let me, here we go. Send the link to Danny and Anthony so they can join us. And that way we can get more input. And our disc golf hot take is from Emerson. He's ready to stir the pot, cause some debate. All right, we'll give a couple. Oh, we got people waiting. Here we go. We've got boom. And now we're gonna have Anthony come in. Danny, are you audio plugged in? I see Anthony.
I think audio's working. Let me get video working here.
Yep, got your audio. I can hear you.
All right. You hear
How
me?
you doing, Anthony? Someone just fell through the roof or something. What was that?
Just a door.
Oh, okay.
I'll be right back.
You're right. All right. So
Yes,
yes.
hello.
What's going on, YouTubers? You got any quick questions for Emerson on YouTube before we record our disc golf hot take? There we go.
I got a question for everybody out there on YouTube.
Yes.
How are y'all liking the different options of the Signature Explorer so far? So in the past years, it's just been one. This year, there'll be 4 volumes, and they've come out with 2 volumes already. How are y'all liking the different plastics in the same disc coming out in the same year?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let us know. Because I'll tell you, my favorites haven't come out yet. The ones that have come out so far have been fantastic. But one of the series that hasn't come out yet is
Really?
it's the coolest. Plastic wise, the plastics that have come out have been great. They are super good. The stamp though, I'm really excited about one specific stamp. I can't really say much about it right now, but
I think I know which one.
Yes.
Is it?
It'll be later in the year.
Like the last one?
Probably so.
Okay.
Those are going to be the coolest ones. I don't know about the plastic has been good on all of them. Truly. Like the VIPX Glimmer is awesome. But the stamps on these are going to be.
I think it's pretty cool because it's personalized to each player.
Yes. Yeah, I dig that.
I am sufficiently hyped, and I have no idea what's coming.
Right? I don't know at all what it is, but I want to know.
I'll tell you guys after.
And I want it now. All right, so we got people are saying, I love my Explorer. They're beautiful. Don says he just lost his Explorer.
Bummer.
Someone wants Emerson to turn his phone to landscape. Do not, because it won't. I don't know if it'll translate once you've already gone live.
Yep.
So you'll just be sideways. Let's see.
Sorry, everybody.
It's all right. Next time.
Diggin' D says the stamps are sick. I like the idea of more plastic types. Gives the players and the general public a chance to try new stuff while supporting the players who need it most.
And we appreciate it a ton because without the support of Latitude and without the support of all you guys out there, I don't even know where I would be right now. But I have y'all, so I'm taken care of.
Like Mr. Drew says, he's hating the option so far. That's just based on the ratio of how many he wants to buy and how many he can buy and stay married.
It's an unfair ratio.
It's fair. That's true.
Well, if he can't buy them, there's giveaways all the time everywhere.
Yeah.
There's like all kinds of local shops doing giveaways. Every time someone posts about a giveaway that I'm involved in, I always share it on my Instagram. So if you just follow me on Instagram, you'll know when the giveaways are, and then you could start getting my signature disc for free. You might not even have to pay.
Nice.
Dang.
That's also a great
Chaser, he says, for Emerson, any of a video on how to engage your lower body in the throw. As a fellow sub 6 foot tall individual, I have trouble keeping up with the vertically advantaged, but I have a lot of power in my legs, but it's not getting into my throw.
Well, good. Luckily for you, you're talking to several sub 6 foot individuals.
Yes,
yeah. One non-sub 6 foot.
I'm almost there.
Anthony's taller.
How tall are you, Anthony?
6 foot?
I'm 6 foot, like on the dot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But the rest of us hover around the 5'10" range.
Not me.
Yeah.
Not me.
Save
How tall are you, Emerson?
5'6" on a good day.
So what do you think is the secret to your ability to get all that power behind the disc?
I think that it's my weight transfer and my core strength, and that comes from my hockey background.
Now, y'all talked about it a little bit earlier about staying sideways, offsetting that plant foot to the left, and I think keeping your weight over your toes is really important there too. If you're trying to work on getting your back leg into the throw, I recommend throwing a few times without letting your back heel touch the ground. And that'll really force you to push off your back leg, and you'll feel it a lot more.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago when I made like the switch from hockey to disc golf, and I was like, I'm going to be doing this all the time. And I was like, I need to throw 500 feet consistently. How can I do that? So I went to a course, and I just focused on pushing hard off my back leg. And that's all I focused on. I didn't care where the disc went. I just focused really hard on like literally getting low and pushing off my back leg, almost like I was jumping off of it, but not quite extreme. So just go out to a field and really like push off that back leg. Don't get too crazy with it. Make sure that you're still keeping everything together. And then I think you'll get more power, because that's what I did. And it worked for me.
Cool. All right, you guys ready to record?
Yep, let's do it.
Here we go.
Also use those bands to slow it down.
All right, here we go. Recording. Hey, everybody, welcome to an episode of Disc Golf Hot Takes. I have myself, Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze, Robert McCall, Danny Lindahl, Anthony, I won't even try, Vander something or other.
Yeah, nailed it.
And our special guest from Team Latitude 64 is Emerson Keith. How are you doing today, Emerson?
Pretty good. The baby's asleep now.
Oh,
So
nice.
things are
Good deal.
quiet.
All right. So as our guest, you have the floor as far as a disc golf hot take. I will warn you, the YouTube chat can be pretty vicious if it's not a good one. So it better be a good one. And we'll probably make fun of you too. So, but go ahead.
It's true.
Okay. So I think the one that would be good is national tours, worlds, disc golf pro tours. We need to play on smaller baskets.
Talk about why you think that.
Yeah.
Because if you look at like ball golf, for example, if you putt too hard from too close, it'll roll right over the top of the hole. It will not go in. In disc golf, you can easily get away with putting way too hard. And all kinds of things, like it shouldn't be able to luckily grab the basket. It should have to be dead center perfect in order to make, just like in ball golf. You have like it from however far away, from 200 yards away, if you hit dead center in the hole super hard, it's probably not going to stay in. It often bounces out. You have to hit short and roll into the hole. So I think that for the big elite tournaments, we need to switch to like a marksman basket where the speed and spin has to be so controlled to get it to stick into the basket. I think that our percentages are too high for inside the circle. I think what would be good is like to try and get it to where like 75, 80% inside the circle is like, you
Fantastic.
putted great. And I feel like if we switch to a marksman type basket, that could happen. I think we need to make it harder because it's these shooting 15 under every single time isn't making our sport look good. It's not making the pros look so much better than just your everyday advanced guy playing his home course shooting 15 under. We need to do something to separate the pros from the AMs as far as difficulty to shoot well.
I have a follow-up question for you. Do you think the smaller baskets add an element of randomness to whether or not your putt stays in the basket? Do you think a good putt sticks less often on a smaller basket?
If the speed is correct on a marksman basket and you hit dead center pole, it's going to hit that pole and fall down.
It just changes what's technically a good putt. It makes a good putt harder to achieve.
A good putt is not dead center. A good putt is dead center with good spin control and good speed control. And I think by us making these big targets that grab super well, that gives everybody so much confidence, we really we made our sport easier.
Okay.
Because if you go back and watch the old worlds from in the 90s, and they were putting on those tiny little mock baskets, 45 footers were not happening all the time. And I'm not saying that wouldn't happen. You'd probably see a lot of 45 footers made just by how good everybody is. I mean, we all saw that video of Paul putting on a marksman basket without chains, with just the pole, and he was making all of them. So I think that the pros need to putt on a smaller.
So you're saying only at the events that pros play. This is what you're saying.
Yes, because it would so an amateur event should be set up to be easier, and then an amateur comes and plays a pro event and tries to put on the marksman basket, but the pros are so good at putting they can make it in the marksman basket 80% of the time inside the circle. It makes it a lot harder to become a pro.
All right. So
I think it's too easy to become a pro.
Okay, I can dig that. So Anthony, it seems like, is in favor of this.
I am 100% on board with this on one condition.
Okay.
Rather than there's a marksman here, rather than taking the chains and just going, I think we should take the basket and shrink it a little bit. I think you could go a little bit wider than a marksman, but I think if you were to take, the band is here. I think if you bring the band, there we go, to here. So make it a little bit shorter, a little bit more narrow. Sign me all the way up.
Okay. So I'm firmly against this idea. And here's the reason. I I think that one of the things that gets people excited about watching top players play is the idea of highlight reel plays, right? And like, all right, I'm new to disc golf. Okay. I haven't watched disc golf a whole lot. Maybe I've just started playing, but I don't understand how hard it is to throw a shot 500 feet or more. I watch them throw it. I'd be like, wow, they can throw it far, but I can throw it kind of far. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I always think. So it works great. But all right. So, but I've seen that. I'm like, okay, well, they can just do something that I can't do. But when they get close to the basket and they're like 80 feet away, I know how hard it is to throw that disc into the basket because I've tried to do that and I miss left every time and it rolls away. And the only way that I can really get a shot at making those is if I kind of turn to the side and like throw them, bring a ton of extra risk into them. These top guys and girls just make putting look easy, even though it isn't. So I would say we're taking a very small subset and saying that because these people can do this a certain way, that we should change it for everybody. Now,
No,
I know it's not, hold on.
everybody.
I know it's not for everybody because AMs aren't included, but the thing that kills me about it is that AMs will watch that and be like, oh man, I would love to see Ricky throw him in from 60 because that's so cool. I made 160 footer once, but he does it all the time. So I think to get like hype generated around disc golf, to have the sort of plays that you could see, hey, this is what we show in top fives, top fives, top tens highlights from tournaments. That's the sort of stuff I would like to see. Because if we move to marksman baskets, putts almost never make the list at that point, unless you're talking like a 35 footer, like a 35 footer made on a marksman. I'm celebrating as if I just won the tournament.
That's my thinking too, as well as, and I agree with Robert, is that I hear from the top pros, a lot of the people that have been playing disc golf for years and years and years and complaining about the size of baskets. But however, when I'm walking around filming the top pros, and I'm a big people watcher. I pay attention. I listen to people and their reactions and stuff like that. All I hear is oohs and ahs when we see the big 40 foot, 50 foot putts that are made on the baskets we have now. People are still hyped and they still love seeing these big putts. And I think, like Robert said, if we shrink everything and make it smaller, we're going to see less and less in that. And that means it's going to be less exciting, less thrilling.
I agree with the first half. I think we will see less of those. I think it will make them that much more exciting when we
they'll be so infrequent that there'll be nothing to celebrate.
We saw Paul make 50 in a row with no chains. Right.
But
maybe
he's not
50.
Right, but that's a whole completely different setting. That's not a tournament
and one
setting.
person.
So
one person, same spot over and over and over. That's not doing that on the course.
That's not the same as in the middle of a tournament when you're down to 2 or 3 strokes making a difference and someone makes a big jam.
But what happens?
That will happen less frequently, and we will have less of that spectacular shot.
Okay, I have something to say. I needed stage for a minute. So you say that you don't want to make it harder so the AMs can compare themselves to us and whatnot. Okay. Going back to ball golf, if we go play some local course, how slow are those greens?
Right. Like
how
like
flat
carpet.
are they? If we were to go to a course,
but they don't change the size of the holes.
They cut the grass shorter. It's so much faster. Like it's so much harder for those pros, and people know that. So people love watching the pros. But they make those courses easier so the amateur golfers feel like they're closer to the pros. Like, oh, wow, I shot 80. If Tiger Woods shoots 72, I'm not that far away from him.
And they're right. They're not right.
Right? So if an amateur goes and plays Alex Clark on the super nice veteran baskets and shoots 15 under or 10 under, and then I play a course on tour with smaller baskets and shoot 10 under. Yes, it's more impressive, but they think that they shot a score similar to mine. But then you try and get them to come and actually do that, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So it makes it I'm a huge fan of making it harder to become a pro.
So in basketball, we should have smaller hoops for the top NBA.
But Bobby, look at
the
look at the
size
size of this disc
the
and
ball
the
is
size of the
MLB have
basket.
smaller bats.
The ball's a different size when you go from college to pro. So
The 3-point line's farther back.
It's
a different game.
Yeah.
Like, look at, I mean, you're talking about ball golf, right? And how, they don't make it bigger. That's because a golf ball is this big and the hole is barely bigger. You said basketball. A basketball barely fits in the rim. We have a disc that's this big and it has this whole thing plus left and right that it can fit in. If you want to argue about that, percentage-wise, it is way easier to make a putt on a disc golf basket than it is to get a basketball through a basketball rim or a golf ball into a golf hole.
There's no doubt about that. But
I think there's nothing wrong with making putting harder at the top level.
Here's a point that Chaser brings up on the board, and I think this is a super valid point. This is where I think I would have liked to have gone, but he said it better than me. So I'm just going to read what he said. Don't give him any credit for it. Okay. He said, so how will amateurs develop? Will only pros get to play courses with different baskets? When will the AMs get that opportunity? You'll just end up with more MA1 players and less MPO players. And I do think that's a problem in disc golf right now because we hear about sandbagging 24/7, that there's somebody who should be playing open that's playing MA1, cleaning up discs from actual amateurs when they're rated 990 or higher. To be fair, 990 players could go to most local tournaments and make decent money. They could guaranteed win a lot of MA1 tournaments, but they could make decent money by moving on up. So are we killing off their ability to develop into MPO players by kind of taking away that middle ground if we do this?
I don't think so. How many ball golfers are out there that never get a tour card, but always play their local club championships? Like, it's got to be hard to get a tour card. It's got to be hard to be on tour.
Also, the distinction Emerson is making is on tour versus playing as a pro.
Sure.
Like a local pro versus touring pro.
Okay. We haven't even talked about the logistical sides of the cost. Imagine the cost of a TD who tries to have pro. Okay. First of all, you've got a lot of different elements. You've got the TDs for, I'm talking like big events. They've got to bring in the amateurs because the amateurs bring in the entry fees. Then you've got to bring in the pros because the amateurs want to come see the pros. So now you've got to have all kinds of different courses. They can't play the same course. If you have multiple courses, then you can try to do something with that. But then there's just so many logistics that having two different size baskets would just cause way too many problems.
I don't think so. How many people get to play country club?
And how many people want to, though? They want to come practice or they want to
come
play.
Talking about
how many people want to play TPC Sawgrass?
Me.
Right? How many people get to?
Not me.
Exactly. So I think that it'd be super easy for the Disc Golf Pro Tour to travel around with 18 marksman baskets. Super easy.
Anthony, what were you going to say?
Emerson kind of brought it up. Bobby was saying you can't have different people playing the same course. We did that at GBO last year. After the final, I think FPO teed off first. After the final FPO card cleared through whatever hole it was, Doug or Eric or somebody was out there with a key, picked up the basket, moved it to a different location. So now it's in the MPO layout. So they're playing different courses. You could very easily just follow in a golf cart, boop, switch out the basket, switch out a basket, whatever.
This isn't your local your local guy either.
No,
this isn't your local tournament director. This is a guy who's running a national tour.
When you submit a bid to host Worlds, you know what you're getting into. You know, okay, we either have to supply these baskets, we have to go through and change them if we're going to have different layouts or different divisions on the course. It's established, right? You know what you're signing up for. The PDGA doesn't just say, hey, you're hosting Worlds this year. Hey, you're a national tour. No, you apply for those things.
Well, no, yeah, I'm not saying they would be all of a sudden surprised like 2 days later. Oh, now we have to have baskets. Sure, they have to prepare for it, but there's still the logistics behind that. And both of you keep saying it would be super easy, it would be very easily. Anthony, you should know from running events, and I don't know if you run events, Emerson. There's no super easy and very easy when
super easy isn't the right word.
When it comes to doing
possible is the right way. It's
on paper it seems easy, but most definitely not in the execution of it. So.
Yeah.
So you don't think Disc Golf Pro Tour could reach out to a company and say, hey, do you want us to feature your marksman basket in these big tournaments? And that company would more than, like Prodigy.
Without
for
getting
Waco.
without getting into the weeds of things and background stories, the Disc Golf Pro Tour had all kinds of struggles when the way it is now to get sponsorships and get people to do things. So I can't imagine if all of a sudden you're asking.
Imagine, we look at Waco. That tournament got sponsored all those Prodigy baskets for 2 courses, and that was one 27-hole course and one 18-hole course. And I bet you they sold a lot of baskets because of that.
I'll say this:
they're investments.
Yeah, on your side of the story, Emerson. Yeah, if I don't know this to be true, but I would say pretty confidently if Disc Golf Pro Tour said, "Hey, we're going to one set of baskets. It's going to be the same baskets at every event." Didi, would you like for marksman to be it? We'd be like, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
We would definitely do that.
Yeah.
I don't think the problem is getting the baskets, and I'm not even worried about the logistics of moving them around. I think that's possible, but I think when we separate like that, we're taking we're saying that pros play a different game. And one of the impressive things to me is that pros are playing the same game. They're just playing it infinitely better than I am or that AMs are. So that's why I think it's so cool. I could go out and play Emporia Country Club in the same layout that they do, and I would just get wrecked. And especially amateurs, even worse than that. But once we take away that kind of unifying factor of using the same baskets, I just think it changes everything.
Right. And I don't disagree with you as far as them being able to compare to us and everything. What I do disagree with, and what I really want, why I want the change, is it's just too easy to shoot good for us because we're so good, and we need to do something to make it harder. And at a certain point, you have to go, okay, the best in the world is not winning because this sport is a little bit too easy. We need to do something. We need to at least try to do something to make this harder. Because on the PGA Tour, there's only a select few people that are predicted to win the tournament. At a Disc Golf Pro Tour, you're going to have 20 people that could win it.
Sure.
But you make those baskets smaller, it starts to weed out maybe 12 of those people that aren't great on the putting green.
Right. Because I'd say that there is a difference. And I'll say this, I know this about myself. I am not great putting on a marksman. I'm pretty good putting on a regular basket. But a lot of times it's because I catch left side with decent speed and it stays in. I catch right side with hyzer and it stays in. But put me on a marksman, it's oh man, that kind of sucks.
So where someone that is so good at the sport and they are a true professional at the game, they're still going to make those putts, and it's going to separate them from the person that's not. Right. And it's really going to show how good they are in a high level tournament. You're not going to have that 1,005 rated player that almost wins the tournament because his putting's just not there yet.
Right. I mean, I would say the comparison I was going to make is to somebody like Eric McCabe. Eric makes a lot of putts, but he makes them because they're on the pole every single freaking time. So yeah, I would say that definitely would differentiate pros who are traditionally thought of as good putters. You now have to be a much more accurate putter than you did before. And I do think there's something to that. I totally understand the argument.
Do you think that, so Eric McCabe still throws far? Yeah. Right? But he doesn't throw as far as the top pros.
Correct.
Make the basket smaller. Eric McCabe comes back into the scene. And since he's so good at putting, he makes a run at the leaderboard.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Because he's so good at the short game. And I think that needs to be there.
I can dig that.
I think that you're allowed to lack in a certain category, and that category being putting,
right?
And still perform well. I think that it needs to be a little bit harder to make you really hone in on that specific skill.
All right. Well, there you go. There's Emerson Keith's disc golf hot take.
That was a good one. I really liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
A nice serious one. So good stuff.
I have another one.
Save it.
Come on.
Save it for next time.
Save it for next time.
All right.
But I like it. You are whitelisted for potential hot list or hot take topics.
Yes.
We believe that your hot take topics will be good. So far, blacklisted Bobby, Eric Oakley.
Why was he?
That's it.
I want to know why though.
Only because of my first one.
Bobby's first one was if animals could play disc golf, which animal would be the best? You can't choose primates.
I was testing
After
out formats,
didn't he choose
man.
chimpanzes first though?
Yeah,
or gorilla,
and then said, okay,
and
you can't
then
choose primates.
no more primates.
No,
So I'm
obvious
gonna take
choice
the
is
biggest
primates.
one.
Okay, so that was that.
I
Then
think a
Eric-
giraffe would be the best because
See?
they could hold it in their
Emerson
mouth
likes
and
it.
wing
He
it.
gets it. Emerson gets it.
Stupid. It was not a good hot take. Okay, he's had good ones since though. But number 2 is Eric Oakley. He said we should always be playing on turf tee pads, and it's like, yes, that's not a good hot take. We should be on either side of
It's
things,
not hot.
you know. So
Yeah.
this was a good hot take.
That's just like
Approved.
taking the best option and saying the best option should always be available.
Yeah, I should always
Saying
throw
we
the
should-
best shots.
That's like saying every tournament should have a DD basket on the course.
I agree. Thank you
Right?
for bringing that up.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in for Disc Golf Hot Take. We'll see you on the next one. All right, guys. I'm going to stop the live here. YouTube. What? Go ahead.
On
I'm
the
sorry.
record, I think
Yeah.
it's a great hot take, Emerson,
Yes.
and I
Yes,
agree.
it
I
was
would
good.
love to see
I think it's
Pro
so
Tours
easy.
NTs. Yeah,
I
for
think
the
it's
sake
so
of
easy to go back and forth at it because
Yeah.
there's so many valid points why to keep it, and there's so many valid points why to make it harder.
yeah, but also I agree with you. Like I would love to see smaller baskets. In all actuality, for the sake of hot takes, it's nice to argue a little bit and bring up other
Yeah.
points. But I agree with you.
Personally, I'm tired of losing tournaments to the guy that barely catches right side.
Yep, over and over and over. Yep,
Yeah.
I understand that.
Same.
I
Definitely
disagree.
same.
I think you're dumb. So.
Dang it.
Bobby just doesn't want to get beat by 20. He wants to get beat by 12.
Yeah,
There you
That's
go.
what I'm
See?
talking about.
Yeah.
All right, Emerson. All right. Thanks again for joining us. We will let you go and let you get back to your day. Hopefully you can get out. Is it still raining right now?
No, it still hasn't rained.
Oh, no, but it's supposed to.
I think looks pretty sunny out there.
Yeah, it
Looks
does.
bright.
All right. We'll let you get back to it then. Thanks, Emerson.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thanks, YouTube.
Laters, everybody.